Alright, so this week is gonna be a bit different. I only played two things last week. Uh, well, technically three, but one of those was VR chat, and I'm sure as I'm not putting my drunken VR chat shenanigans in a video. Well, actually, Greg, you did play a bit of Grifflands and Slay the Spire. I got my ass beat with the Snecko and Slay the Spire, but I'll just put those two very briefly here because there's not much to talk about. But I did play a bit more RoboQuest. I'll put that in at the end because there's not much to talk about, but there's a little bit to talk about. The Genshin is really I wanna bitch about a game, and that game is Genshin. So, I'll leave that after. So I'm gonna start with Guild Wars 2. And then we went to Genshin Impact because I got a lot of fucking complaining to do about Genshin Impact. Holy shit. Shit, I love Genshin. Alright, so Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2. Alright. Been playing more of that. Been real fucking addicted. Oh my god, I've been addicted to Guild Wars 2. But I've been doing Dragon Response missions, and while I think they're enjoyable, I think the problem of Guild Wars 2 not having any incentive to do to do a lot of its content is it's really hurting things like Dragon Response missions and Daily Strike missions, because there's fucking never ever anyone in public Dragon Response missions ever. There's I at most two people, but that is rare. Usually I'm by myself. Sometimes there's one person. Very, very, very rarely I can get two people. Almost never happens, though. But even by myself, they're still pretty enjoyable. I would like to try the challenges at some point, but you know, you feel like I need friends for that. You know, I've been doing the Halloween event a lot because it's like the last week. It was the last week. I think it's over now. By the time I'm recording this, but it was fun. I just loved playing the Halloween event and then just going into my inventory, right-clicking my trick-or-treat bags and clicking use all or open all, whatever it is in game, and just seeing everything just flood open, even if most of it is fucking useless. It's still fun seeing all that shit pop up. Another thing that I've wondered about Guild Wars 2, well, not wondered, it's an idea I had a while, is that this game really feels like an MMO. Most of the content in the game is soloable. But I think MMOs in general never really feel like MMOs. But Guild Wars 2, when you're doing a map event and you're flying around to a boss arena with at least a couple dozen other players, it is really fucking cool. Especially while doing Dragonfall, at the end of Dragonfall, where you're all flown up to the top ridge to see the dragons kill each other. That is really cool, seeing all those players just like, and you have the idea that all of them are well, I mean, some of them probably don't have the same wow factor as you, but it's still fun. It's still very, very fun, and I'm sure other people probably think that as well. The other people in the instance, even if they don't really talk. But anyway, that was Guild Wars 2. Guild Wars 2 was fun, fun. Go for a massive piss. Alright, Genshin, the one I want to bitch about. Let's see, the old event ended, and, well, it started out pretty neat, but I can say that I definitely did not like it at the end, because, it started out decently, okay? It did, but there was never really any depth to any of the unique mechanics of the event. And that stays the same throughout the entire fucking event. Like, you keep doing each new dungeon, essentially, and they're all exactly the fucking same. Like, what is the point of having multiple of them if there's nothing different between them? Like, just so you can lock the event behind time? Like, come on. Why can't you just add some just one new mechanic each dungeon, just one, and I would have been more satisfied. But they were all the same. Aside from just a slight level bump in the enemies, there got to a point where I was literally skipping half the rooms, any room I could. Okay, just because I was getting so bored of doing the same thing over and over. Like, there's only so far the combat can take you. And the combat's not perfect itself. The combat can get tedious. It can get very, very tedious. It's probably one of the best parts about Genshin, but it can still get extremely tedious. And all of the problems that the combat have really come to light when you're incredibly bored of the mechanics surrounding the combat, the dungeon mechanics of this event. Okay, like, this isn't enough problem with this. There wasn't a problem. Okay, I started there. This isn't a problem with just this one event. Almost every single fucking event in this game ends up this way. They have some neat mechanic at first. They gatekeep all of these separate unlocks for the event, and then nothing happens. They're all basically the same. Like there's so little progression in the events. Like why really block the events behind time if you're not gonna do anything with the event? There's just never any depth to these things. It's like the only events that ever have any amount of depth to them are, and by depth I mean narratively, are the stupid fan service events that exist just so you can hang out with your damn waifus. I don't care about that. Genshin's characters suck. Don't yell at me. I do. There's more to it, but Genshin's characters generally are not very well written, and I do not care about any of them. So I don't care about these damn fan service events. Not like they actually have much to them anyway. It's just a bunch of story, voice acting shit. But then there's a new event, and I'm gonna be honest, the new event is really dull. Well, the first phase was really dull, at least. It was just walking around, pressing T, which for some reason the item has a cooldown. I don't really understand why they'd give what is the purpose of giving this item that you need to use constantly during this first phase a cooldown. It makes no sense to me. And then you just put this cool thing and it just points to the direction of where you need to go to put it down even more, and if just keep putting it down until you get to the right spot for the item. But except some of the items are just baits. Some of the items aren't actually things that you needed, and it's really, really fucking dull. There wasn't even any combat in first phase. At first I suspected that it would remain that way throughout the entire event, because that's how almost every event in this fucking game ends up. But it did seem like at the time it was building up to some kind of combat encounter, the third phase at least. But the second phase actually did have combat. It was a bit better, mainly because I got to engage in combat, as I've been saying. But it still wasn't great, because there's large periods of just waiting. Like this is a pretty bad combat event so far. Like the first, just judging from the first and second phase, it's an event based on combat, but the combat isn't fun because of the large amounts of waiting and the fact that it's forcing you to use electro characters to charge these damn pylons, which isn't very difficult at all. You just gotta touch them once and they're fully charged suddenly, and you just gotta periodically defend them from enemies that take a bit to spawn. Like there's large periods of waiting. Like I'm not just saying that. There is pretty long periods of doing nothing while waiting for an enemy to spawn and for these damn pylons to charge. There's no difficulty to it, of course, because Genshin events usually aren't that difficult. The only thing that has any amount of difficulty is Spiral Abyss, and that's changes so infrequently that it gets really boring very quickly. But I cannot but feel like this event exists to force you to use Electro characters. It's like Genshin knows that Electro is an incredibly shit element, and so they make this combat event to force you to just force you to use it. I feel like I'm playing a game made by fucking Epic Games. You know, instead of making a good platform, instead of making Epic Games Store a good platform, they just force you to fucking use it. Okay, fuck you guys. Disregarding that, I probably shouldn't talk about that, but this Electro being a shit element and it forcing you to use Electro makes me realize that the devs seem to... This game's got a lot of fucking problems that have existed for, like, literally since the game first came out, over a year ago. Like, Pyro Residence is still unbelievably powerful. It's way more powerful than any other element in the game. I do not understand why Pyro gets a flat attack boost, but every other element has, like... requirements for its boosts. Like, you fucking cryo gives you crit rate boost, but only against enemies who are affected by cryo, meaning that any fucking elemental compatibilities are just out the window because they need to be affected by cryo for to get your fucking crit rate boost. But then pyro gets just attack. They just get attack. Like, why the fuck is pyro the only one who gets a decent, just flat stat boost? Oh. I don't understand why I still play Genshin. I got to AR 58 as well to 10 this off. I got to AR to adventure rank 58, and you know what? I got a whole lot of jack fucking shit. So thank you, Mihailo, for your amazing game that has no issues whatsoever. It is perfect. I love my waifus. Waifus make it all better, despite how unbelievably stingy you are with giving these waifus to everyone. Okay. Let's end off this video with some positivity. RoboQuest is a really fucking good game. And I don't really have much to say about it other than you should really go play it. Especially if you're a fan of Gunfire Reborn, which, by the way, is getting its full release in November. But RoboQuest is very similar to Gunfire, but I'd say that it has it's quicker than Gunfire. Much, much quicker than Gunfire with its movement options and how its levels and enemies are designed. It's also 2-player co-op. No 4-player co-op like Gunfire, but 2 players, it's fine. I think 4 players might be a bit much with how the game's speed and levels are designed. But it's a really, really fun game. It's currently like in alpha, and I think it does change a lot. That's my only problem with the game, which isn't really a problem because it is in early access. I'm pretty sure it's in alpha right now, and for an alpha game, I really enjoy it. But it's changed its perk system and its camp system drastically, like 4 times over the course of the alpha. So if you do play it, just keep that in mind. You might want to just like add it to your radar while you wait for 1.0 release. Just add it to your wish list on Steam. I'll put a link in the description. But that's it. That's all I wanted to say. Oh man, I think Genshin's gonna go insane. Now, this is the end of the video. I'm gonna sign off pretty soon here. But wow, I cannot believe that Genshin is such an unbelievably bad game after this long. Well, it's not a bad game, but it's flawed, deeply flawed, and its flaws are not. I feel like a lot of them wouldn't be that hard to fix. Okay, yeah, never mind. I need to stop here before I go on another tangent. I'm actually gonna go insane if I keep going. Bye. Come follow me on Twitter and Twitch, please, and also like the video if you like it. Just a thought.